I'm Dan Marr, aka Inside Xbox's Mr. Pointhead, and you're watching GameTank.
The power of Bushido shall be my quill.
Let's see if we can't do something about my board.
I'll show you just how strong I am!
It's showtime!
Hi, I'm Brendan.
And I'm Dan.
And we're here at the Super Street Fighter 4 preview event in London with a bunch of world-class Street Fighter fighters.
As you know, some of the finest things in life begin with the word super. Superman,
Yep.
Super Bowl,
Yeah.
Supermarket Suite.
Dale Winton Supermarket Suite.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're here to talk more to these super world-class fighters and find out what makes Street Fighter 4 so super.
Yeah. Brendan, you're probably the biggest fan of the games out of the GameTank guys. What are you most looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking forward to seeing some quality bouts, Dan. How about you?
I'm quite looking forward to seeing Ian and Matt destroy another free bar.
Messi.
Street Fighter 4 was released last year to critical acclaim and has since sold millions of copies worldwide. But even a great game can be better, right? Well, Capcom are treating fans to a brand new super experience. With this small addition to the title comes great rewards, with Street Fighter 4 adding 10 new characters, all new gameplay features and some sweet multiplayer options.
GameTank somehow managed to fool Capcom into thinking we were serious journalists. And as soon as we were allowed into the venue, we dived onto one of the demo stations and started testing out the new game.
As fans of the series will expect, this latest version builds nicely on what was already a solid game last year, with some all new features including the appearance of some returning characters from classic Street Fighter games, complete with some new ultra combos and an online team battle for up to 8 players. Plus, there have been a few tweaks here and there to balance some of the gameplay between certain characters.
Amidst all this beat-em-up fun, we spoke to Dan Marr, editor of Xbox Live Europe. A long-time Street Fighter fan, Dan gave us his thoughts on the new game.
The first Street Fighter game I played was Street Fighter. The original, I played in the arcades at my local video shop. I had the US Gold Spectrum version as well. So yeah, huge fan back then. Even I played in the arcades in Blackpool with the pressure-sensitive buttons. I go back that far. I think when I first played it, I was so used to scrolling beat 'em up, so I loved Final Fight and Double Dragon. And I found Street Fighter 2 really unwieldy. I just couldn't get to grips with it. The special moves were beyond me. This was beyond the days of game FAQs and things like that, so there wasn't just some ready source. I just had to hope that computer and video games would one day publish a move list, which they did, and that was when it was like, it's clicked, now I get it, and I just haven't stopped playing since, basically. You speak to some of these guys now, they think, what the hell, that's just so basic. But back then, it was all new. Everything was a learning process, and all the tactics and techniques, the differences between the fighters, the nuances, none of that existed before. So it really just sparked a whole new genre of fighting game. I mean, last year was a proper watershed moment in fighting games making a resurgence. Street Fighter 4, Tekken 6. I think there was Tatsunoko versus Capcom came out in Japan. King of Fighters 12. This year we're seeing Samurai Shodown Sen. There's just it's kind of back in a really big way, and I really think it took the daddy to kind of spark that resurgence. The Beatles are kind of plodding along up until that point, but it was just such a breath of fresh air to see Street Fighter 4 kind of bringing back everything that made Street Fighter 2 so successful in a really kind of compelling current generation way. My first worry when I saw it, when I played it, when I saw the move list was like, well, nothing's really moved on since Street Fighter 2. And I was a big Street Fighter 3 fan as well, so I love the parrying system. I love the fact they basically completely revived the character list. You know, it was only really, I think from the first Street Fighter 3, it was only Ryu and Ken that actually survived the transition until Third Strike when they dropped a few more in. So it felt to me initially like a step backward, and then you thought, no, the moves are fundamentally the same, but everything about it, the execution feels fresh, feels new, and yeah, the hardware is, has helped with that 60 frames a second movement, and just the fluidity of the gameplay is a cut above what we saw in Street Fighter 2. But Street Fighter 4 was like, finally, they're taking advantage of, you know, advanced 3D visuals, high def visuals, and making it shine in the same way that we're so used to with sprites. The personality, the character that's bursting out, I think it's only been possible with this generation. Because it's one thing, okay, we're going to make Ryu 3D, but before they were kind of expressionless, very blocky characters. Now they're kind of bursting to life like you know, like Pixar have done with 3D animation. They've brought personality and character to it in a way that Japanese developers seem to have a bizarre knack for doing. Street Fighter 4 and all beat 'em ups to a degree just benefit from being bolstered and added to and having new characters, because it just expands the existing challenge. It's not like everyone that you loved in Street Fighter 4 is gone. It's not like all the techniques you had in Street Fighter 4 are gone. It's like that's all there and a ton more besides. So you know that's the appeal. It's just the same game with a hell of a lot more just bolted onto the end of it.
Stay tuned for part 2 of our Super Street Fighter 4 feature, where we'll be talking to Ryan Hart, the European Street Fighter 4 champion.
Keep it real, keep it GameTank.